because I don't like you as much as I used to. Those
You
were rough
used to
days.
like me?
Used to. When you were somebody that I used to know. Back at it again.
No, we don't. It's not that. You don't do all that. You don't do all that. You don't do all that.
Well, it's my third beer, so, you know. Premium.
Yeah.
Nah. Where's this from? 2 hops.
2 hops now. 2 hops. Let's go. 3 hops. Let's go.
New podcast called 2 hops.
2 hops. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Slide to the left. Slide to the right.
And he's really dancing.
Crisscross.
Oh, it's Holland?
Crisscross. Yeah.
So, like, Europe owns us on beer, basically.
You're what?
Europe owns us on beer.
Oh yeah.
I
I
choose Belgium over everyone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, we get some good ones. We're better than the U.S. is.
Hey, we're a semi-beer podcast, so we're looking for sponsorship from beers. If you know anybody that would,
my brother in here.
should.
Let's just sit him in front of a fucking microphone, let him ramble.
I've been telling that for years. But if any of our 2 listeners know any beer, or you have a craft brewery, we're looking for sponsors. We've reached that level now where we can take sponsorships on. This is the podcast to do it.
I'll probably delete all this. But.
Well, yeah. It's nice.
Might not. We'll see.
It's nice that I put it. We'll cut it and put it on something that's more useful. We're just Coke and Dig looking for sponsorship.
Yeah. Sponsor us, please. Can we get a picture of us?
Yeah,
like
we just point to things in the room of things that we're like, hey, potted plant, do you want to sponsor us? Hey, insulation, Polytarp Super 6.
Should I play like Sarah McLachlan in the background? Too?
No, come to my window. Is that
no,
it? Come to my
No, what was
window,
the one they always played on the...
In the arms of
yeah. Was that it? Yeah, I think so.
I always wanted to adopt a dog to that. That's the perfect segue for me to say, Coke and Dig. But like, that's not, we don't say that yet.
We don't. This isn't an official episode. This is just like,
what is
the bottle cap? We just go...
This is
we just get into it. And then we get into it.
So I think we read a comic book.
Yeah, Gideon Falls.
For a long time, I thought we were reading Gravity Falls, and I was super excited. If anyone knows the short-lived animated TV show, Gravity Falls, amazing. I'll find a way to make Coke watch it so I can talk about it on the podcast. But,
is there a comic for it?
Animated.
Done.
Yes. Uncle Grunkle. But we read Gideon Falls, which is a comic book.
Ongoing series from Image Comics, written by Jeff Lemire, drawn by Andrea Sorrentino.
Award-winning Jeff Lemire.
Jeff Lemire, yeah. Canada's own. I guess it every time.
I gotta say one thing? I never like when they switch into French automatically.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Because then that made me forget
all of the school. They did that in school.
I get it, but then I forget all the English parts for that.
So you're not the only one.
Yeah. I only remember the French version for that second verse.
Yeah, they go back and forth 3 times.
They should flip it and then start one in French. That way I learn the English second verse. Coke and Dank. Dank and Coke.
So we're doing arc analysis now as...
It's the national anthem.
Yeah, we're doing arc analysis. This is the first time we're doing it as not an official episode because there's so much to talk about that we didn't want to give this to... We wanted to talk about more books, but we didn't want to tie up episodes with them.
We discovered that we have more shit to talk about, more shit, that we're giving you more shit.
There's a lot of comic books out there.
Yeah, we've noticed
There's a lot of comic books.
Hey, if you want to send us your comic books...
Yes, thank you.
You should do that.
Yes.
We have a Patreon and a Twitter and a Google. We have a Google Plus and Alexis. Alexis, play Alexis on Fire, Boiled Frogs. I hope that works for somebody.
For now, you can hit us on Twitter. You can at comic_patrol.
Join our Patreon.
With whatever. Now I was trying to think. That's the only way to contact us. That way or the site.
Go to our website.
Yeah. Or
at Patreon.
Or comment. Whatever.
So no, they're really at Patreon, so that makes sense for when I say Patreon all the time.
Yeah.
Coke's on Bumble.
You're on Grindr.
I'm on and JDate. And JDate. I like a cross breed.
You see me there. But yeah, if you have any recommendations for arc analysis, please let us know.
We're both on Wizawat.
What the fuck is Wizawat?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't like this tip cap that you got
going.
Yeah, no.
Because I want to take it off, but I don't want to take it all the way off.
Just take it off.
That's my hair look.
They can tell when we've had too much. They can
We're
tell when
talking
they can tell when we're at the end of our session as opposed to the beginning.
So Gideon Falls.
Where do we begin?
What do you think?
Does you want me to start?
We got 6 issues to go through. It's called the Black Barn. This arc. Gideon Falls, the Black Barn.
I'm wondering why you wanted me to win the Black Barn first. But
The
anyway,
first-
that's another issue for another day. It's interesting. I will give it that.
It is. Yeah, it is. Very.
Two protagonists that are living seemingly two different lives.
Yep.
One is kind of a hypochondriac,
Yeah.
homeless.
Dude, I wrote Dude in a Star's Mask.
Yeah, he's kind of a wreck, and he's trying to rebuild it.
Yeah.
Norton. He's trying to rebuild his life through dumpster diving.
Yeah, he's diving. Yeah, he's dumpster diving.
He's been through some shit. That's the very least that you get about it, and he's constantly looking for something. You don't know what he's looking for, but you're kind of engaged with why he's constantly going to dumpsters and trash to find whatever he's looking for.
Little pieces of wood and little nails.
Whatever makes sense to him, but it doesn't make sense to the reader as of yet.
No.
For me, that was the most engaging story that was going on.
Then in a small town, there's a priest who dies, and Father Wilfred's the new priest that shows up to take over for him. So that's the other protagonist.
That's the other half of the story.
And both of these characters have visions of a giant, mysterious black barn.
Right.
In their dreams.
Which is weird, because sometimes it's drawn red, but anyway.
Well, the background's red. I don't think the barn itself is red. It's more of a... Am I wrong?
You could be, but I don't care. Because it's not great.
So when the priest, Father Wilfred first goes to Gideon Falls to take over the that chapter,
right?
Right.
Yeah, he's taking over that congregation. He's the new priest in there, so it's his flock now.
There's a woman who welcomes him. She's like, "Oh, can I make you some sandwiches?" All this jazz. And she ends up dead.
We're like really fast.
Yeah, because he's visited by the dead priest.
Right.
At night, and he's like a little grumbling up, hiding up on the bookshelf.
I will give the comic this.
It's creepy.
Tonally, like it's already
creepy.
there. Like it doesn't wait to kind of immerse you into their world. You immediately feel like there's something off, and you're trying to catch up to what it's off about.
Yes.
But it's so, for me, like superficial. Like it wasn't as creepy or eerie because it's a different medium. In comic books, it's partly up to your imagination. As much as they're giving you words and images for you to create the world that you want to dive into, you still need your brain to want to dive into it. And for me, there was something that couldn't connect me wanting to dive into this world.
Right. These 6 issues they're basically like a prelude to the story itself.
Right.
So if you don't buy in with this arc,
there's no point.
You're not going to want to read.
Further.
I want to keep reading. You don't.
Yeah, way to
jump
to the end.
Yeah.
Usually we give the...
Yeah, well, we can go... Well, fuck.
But with Norton's story, because he's so neurotic and kind of like mentally ill, he has to go like see a doctor.
Yeah, he goes and talks to a shrink.
And trying to figure out like if he's psychosomatic, but clearly something happened to him with his kid, which was again really engaging. Like I really like the Norton story.
Yeah,
because you know something's wrong, you know he's been through some shit, but you don't know what it is, and you want to find out what he's going through as soon as possible.
So you care more about him than
the priest. The priest storyline.
Father Wilfred, you find out more through his storyline.
You do. You find out more with the little town, and there's more pieces and nuggets given to you, because that's centrally what's happening, and everything that's maddening is happening in that little town.
Right.
You have to bring Norton back to that town, but I don't like the priest.
Okay, fair enough.
I didn't like the daughter cop.
Oh yeah, the daughter cop.
They're weird. Norton was like just he seemed like a what's the thing where he stuck out. Like there was a world and he didn't fit in it.
Yeah.
And he wasn't trying to fit in. He was trying to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like that was captivating for me, but there wasn't enough of that. It was just enough where it was like surface level.
It was more Father Wilfred, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
But he was
there was more exposure
to him, and he had a better grip of what was going on around him.
Yeah, like, he was a little more stable.
Because he was grounded. Yeah.
He was being introduced to the Black Barn, whereas Norton
had been to the Black Barn, which you find out a little later. It's like, oh, he's trying to rebuild where he once was, and what fucked him up for obviously several years, to the point that the Black Barn starts visiting his doctor,
right,
and starts fucking with her.
Yeah, how did that
And that storyline was like that's so much more engaging than someone that's just like, oh, well, this is a weird little town. Like, how many stories have you seen where someone goes to a weird little town and the town's so weird and that person's like, well, fuck this weird little town.
Yeah.
As opposed to someone's like, yo, I left this little town, but it's still with me and it's in me and I don't know how to get this fucking little town out of me, but I need to convince someone else that it's real.
So I wonder if it's like if it's contagious. Like it's kind of
like how transferable kind of thing.
Yeah, because how did it jump to?
Yeah, it could be a disease.
How did it jump to the therapist?
Because she's sane, she's completely on the level, and she's trying to
Dr. Zoo.
Correct. She's trying to get Norton out of his kind of mindset of she wants to cure him or at least treat him for what she thinks is schizophrenia or psychosomatic or bipolarness.
Yeah.
Like whatever he's talking can't be real. Fuck him. Let's just treat him. And he's to the death of him like, yo, I've been through some shit and I don't know how to make you see it, but I don't care if you see it. Like it's happening to me. So like he's doing weird shit too. Like he's the way like he enters rooms and he locks doors specific ways and like look at weird they'll do things
his
with mirrors and
collection
stuff.
Of jars on
the way he built like and his room like I liked. We haven't talked about
cool.
We haven't talked about the art yet either.
I love this art.
It's unnerving, right?
Yes.
Like it doesn't look like it's nothing about this book makes you feel comfortable, which is to its benefit, and the artwork is the main reason of it because it's like scribbled out real fast, like exactly. pencil drawn. Nothing's completely colored in the lines. It's kind of like scatterbrained. But the real shit that really freaked me out is anytime they showed like the barn and stuff, because it looked like a child drew it.
Yes.
And it's every horror movie you ever seen where always the kid gets to see fucking the Bagul or the Babadook first, and it draws the weird picture of it. It's like that's shit's always like. More creepy until you get to see the monster, and that's kind of what I wanted them to tap into more. Because like him drawing like what the barn looks like, it's as simple as just looking at the black barn, but it's always drawn over either a completely red backdrop, or like the pages bleed into other weird type of like imagery where it's just like stick figures and things like the pages and panels start to bleed and blend to the point that like you feel like you're starting to fall into the world, and there's a point in it when they actually find the barn, and then like all bets are off. Like that, those were the best.
And that's just Sorrentino just having fun. Like it was just like fucking wild.
Everything breaks apart, and like me describing it's not going to give it justice. Like that's I feel like the best part of the I guess four issues. Was when they actually go to the barn and like their mind kind of just melts into whatever's in there, and we don't even know what it is. Like it could be a gateway to hell, it could just be some fucking demon that occupied this space. Like I still don't know what that barn is.
And it's not imagination because when it shows up and disappears, it leaves like a
remnants of it. There's a trail. There's like a shadow
where it was.
Like,
and it's like okay, because I always just thought it was in their head the whole like. For most of it, I was like, oh, it's just like a.
And then Norton is always trying to build like the structure of the barn, like as a portal. Like he's always trying to build the doorway back to the barn. So I like, and that's what
he's trying to do. Yeah, we don't know why yet, but he's trying.
And that's the one thing that pulled me out of it too, because it's like I don't know why he's trying to go back to something that so fucked him over. I'd be trying to get as further away from it.
Yeah.
You would assume that someone that's crazy and found something that made them crazy would be running the opposite direction, but he seems to be running towards it, and that's the only way that the two characters would cross over.
Yes,
but they don't really cross over.
Not yet.
And for me, that's a missed opportunity. I guess this is definitely a slow build comic.
Oh yeah,
and that's for me to its detriment.
It's a beloved comic. If you go online, like it's very highly regarded.
This, but I will also say it's also polarizing. So those that love it, and those that do not,
you're not gonna like. Yeah,
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So there are good things about it, but for me specifically, there wasn't enough. Like if you're gonna go there, if you're gonna go someplace that's like, yo, these people have lost their mind, just drop me into fucking hell. And I don't think they did. I feel like they stayed in shallow water. Mm-hmm. If even just to kind of get me into the world or immerse me, but fine. Like, if we're dealing with this weird barn, I'd rather you just drop me in early. Like, if you give me...
Oh, you didn't want to wait 6 issues to see it.
But if you're going to introduce me Norton as someone that, like, I want to follow, you could have given me a flashback of him being in the barn, and that's the first couple of scenes, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that'd be jarring as fuck.
And then I'm like, what the fuck did I just read? And I'm now more like onto like what Norton is like. I'm with Norton now. We're both in the same boat of like something just fucked up happened, and now we're trying to piece together what that was.
So I agree with you that Norton's arc is more interesting because
Right.
there's more questions. But Fred Wilfred, Father the priest,
Right.
his arc is good because there's so much more backstory through that. Like you learn about the plowman,
you learn about
you learn about a secret society that's been following this barn for ages.
Yeah.
You learn about his daughter.
Yeah,
and
like the town and how the town kind of revolves around this.
Yeah, and he's resistant to the whole belief of it, even after he's seen it, right? So he's a little harder guy to like because he's just a little prickly, but you get all the exposure from his side, right?
Well, he's probably the everyday man. Like, if you were exposed to like this random barn that you can't explain, you'd be like, "What the fuck is this? I don't care about this shit. Like, this can't be real."
No, it's not real.
And then but keep it moving.
Even though a dead priest visits him like a little gremlin, he's like, nah. No, that guy's sick. He's not dead. He's sick.
And you like that because, as a priest, as a man of faith, he has to believe in something that he can't explain already. But the level of God and faith is so on the opposite spectrum of what this barn is going to represent.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if it's a heaven and hell thing, great, because you have those two spectrums. But because it's so... The barn is still identified, because I haven't read past that first 4 issues, that I have more questions, and like I don't care to answer them, because I only care about one character, and even then I barely care about Norton.
How'd you like the part where the door the portal opens,
right,
and she sees the dude working on with his
hacking
hand? Yeah,
all the barn stuff was really cool.
That was creepy as shit. And
when she, like
and
the dude that comes
looks at her, and then she
there's a great like climax where I think someone comes out of the barn to go get the girl, to bring the girl into the barn, and then the priest has to go in.
Yeah, Joe. Yeah,
and then all that shit just fucks up. That was great, but by that point, I already didn't care about those two characters, so
fair enough.
I'm just following. Like, if it was Norton and like the Doctor, maybe it would have been a different reaction to it. So like for me, it was disjointed with where you want to put all the emphasis on the characters. I still don't care about the priest, right? Like, and he seems to be the titular character. Here's the thing: I would have cared about Fred if you killed off Norton really early. Like, if he was so fucking insane and he passes on his disease to the Doctor, and then Norton just kills himself or some shit, or like the barn got him.
Here's the thing:
I'd have to attach myself to somebody else.
Here's the thing: you say because Fred's arc is more exposure based and all that. You say he's the main. I think Norton's the main guy because in the ending you learn it's in 2 different timelines, right?
Yeah,
like Fred's in the past,
and then
nice, Norton's like, oh no, we're in Gideon Falls now, but look at it now. It's like a small city.
There's a lot going on, and this is just my take to it. There's a lot,
which is fine. It's a weird one. Like if you said, if you don't buy into like the first issue or 2,
there's no point that you want to read onto it. But like it seems like for the first 4 issues, I think it's 6 issues. 6 issues. They're scratching the surface of what this world is going to be.
They read quick. They read very quickly.
But there's a lot of remnants of things that I've seen already, and I've seen them better. So like the cover art is great because it shows like a profile face of a character, but it's in the shape of like what aerial view of the town would look like.
Yeah.
And I've seen that already anytime I've watched True Detective.
Yeah.
Like their intro is great because they kind of superimpose the characters' faces with what the town is.
Yep.
There's weird things happening on that you can't explain, which is kind of Twin Peaks like. But
it's got some
It's not as weird as Twin Peaks or like as captivating because it's not because I've watched so much TV in this kind of medium. I feel like comic is doing it less justice. If this was a TV show, I'd probably be more engaged with what's going on.
The way it's kind of unraveled.
When it's set up, yeah. There's also another comparison that I want to make to it. Other than the Marcus, but that's just
from the Deadly Glass.
Yeah. I thought Norton could have been like a subset.
It's the SARS mask, isn't it?
That and like all the scratches on everything.
Yeah.
But I can't. It's interesting. It's just not engaging. And for comics, I want to be able. I want to page turn.
Put it, because it isn't like. Okay,
it's not boring. It's not like something that's like. If it sucked, I would have stopped reading after.
Yeah, exactly.
2 pages.
No, I don't think I'm not in love with it like I've seen online. Like some people are like super in love with it. Right. I think it's interesting. I agree. It's a little hard to get into
initially.
Yeah. Because it's very weird. in a good way, but it's very creepy. I like the atmosphere of it because the way the art and the writing of these guys, they put together like a great atmosphere. Like it's even if the story isn't amazing just yet, I'm into like the whole vibe of it, and I like where it's going. And I'm gonna read a bit more because I want to see how the character. I want to see if it becomes more Norton.
Right.
And less Fred, and I want to see how the timelines kind of connect.
And if they ever cross paths, which I think would have been a benefit.
You got people jumping around all over the place in these portals, so I think it's very likely that they will.
You'd have to assume so, because he spent so much time setting up Norton as a specific protagonist, and the father as a specific protagonist. Either they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, and they're balancing each other out for whatever reason, or they have to come across at some point to help, save, kill each other. Like, you assume that's gonna happen, but because I don't care past that barn. Yeah.
So you think it would be better as a TV show?
I do.
Yeah.
I think someone.
It got picked up, right?
I think it got option for TV show. Some review said it closely resembled Haven. If you ever watched the TV show Haven.
No.
I have not either.
I don't know it.
If you like little towns and just creepy things happen in little towns.
But you said you were reading about the influences too, right?
Like, yeah, all
is interesting as shit. I didn't read any of this.
All the influences of the writer made me more interested in the book. And that's the weird thing about this. Everything I read about the comic made me more interested in the comic. So had I done that first, I don't know if I would have
appreciate it more,
enjoyed it a little differently, but after the fact, it's still like I've already read it, so I don't care. But apparently, a lot of his influences were Batman Gothic, which is a really good comic book run. A Tom Waits, I want to say song, but it's really just him talking creepily. And if you
close out with it, eh?
Yeah, if you could hear that track as I read it, it would change the whole fucking flow of the book, because it's just ominous sounds and a weird voice, and that's kind of what you want from this book. Like, if you could be walking through the field with the father and hear just rustlings and then just creepy things in the corner, like that like this is a book building in there. This would be an amazing audiobook.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, you're right.
Just to get the sound effect, to immerse me into this world. I don't know what's going on.
That would be good, eh?
That'd be nuts. That would change the whole dynamic. And then hear someone say, "Turn to page 4." Yeah. Like, I would laugh, right?
Just audio, just a podcast.
Just someone reading this thing. And there was another thing, but I don't remember. And there was a novel that he read about kind of.
You're showing me that.
About a father who wasn't supernatural, but he went to different little towns and had to help solve these kind of sexual crimes and sexual assaults and stuff. So obviously a very dark thing for a priest to have to take on. Yeah. So like his influences, and then Twin Peaks as well.
Which we mentioned from the jump. It's like a Twin Peak-ish.
It's got a Twin Peak feel to it. So I for whatever reason, I believe like True Detective definitely has. It's just missing. Well, clearly there's that cop. I wish the cop, the lady daughter? Cop was a fucking protagonist. That would have changed it for me.
That can happen though.
Yeah, there's time. I wish she was more of a protagonist now, because her mindset would have been coming from law.
And she's from the town too. She's just
so she either understands the folklore and knows how to stay away from it, or she's coming from truth and justice. Yeah. A man of faith understands that I believe in things that I can't explain. Yes. So at a certain point, I could believe in this barn. It could be the hell that I don't know explain. And then Norton, who's just fucking crazy. I honestly wish that the women were the lead. Because if I was following the doctor, who just has this manic dude that shows up, and she's like, let me calm you down, you're crazy. And then it rubs off on her. And then this woman who's been policing this town and all these weird things happening, and this new reverend walks in, and she's like, "Okay, Reverend, I gotta tell you about this town." I think it would have had a different feel.
That's interesting. Yeah, it would be cool, especially from the doctor's point of view, because then you really, although it might be hard to attach to Norton in that sense, because you just think he's a lunatic.
But I don't think. Again, you'll have to tell me. I don't think Norton's gonna last long in this world. Yeah. Especially if he makes it back to the barn, I don't see it working out for him.
That's true. That's a good
like
point.
He's already. It seems like he's already half. But
I think he's the main. Unless he passes on the torch to the therapist, which would be kind of interesting.
It would be
if he does croak. Yeah. I don't know. That's
literally the only thing that's made me want to read this more is this conversation. But
I want to read more tonight.
I'm gonna trust Coke to give me the rundown and be like, you should read it or not. There's good to it. There's definitely, for me, it's missing that atmosphere. What you got when you first read it,
yeah,
I didn't get until I got to see the barn shit, and even then I was like, give me more.
I don't know.
Like dunk me in it.
I got right into it right from the beginning. As soon as I saw his jar collection on the wall, I was like, "This is fucking weird." I'm into this. I don't know. I was in the right state of mind though. Like I've been reading. I've read books before where I'm not in the right
mind frame.
I'm just kind of like, I can't do this right now.
I like good engaging stories, and there seems to be something engaging here, but not enough to keep me turning the pages. Because I went through 6, and in 6 of them, you're like, there's a barn, and crazy shit happens in the barn, and
a couple of issues, not much happened, but it's all world building.
And if you don't like the world,
fair enough.
There's a couple. We didn't talk about it. Like the barn shows up to different people. Like they start seeing it. Like so the doctor will appears. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
But like they're just scratching the surface, and I would love them to reverse engineer it and just throw me into the fire and then pull me out and be like, you don't know what you just saw yet.
Yeah.
But now this dude or this lady is trying to piece back all that shit. I think that would have thrown me for a different loop.
They ease you into it.
Which, for this type of world, I guess works for a lot of people. A lot of people like being eased in. It's definitely a slow burn, I'll call it that.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's ever a boom.
I love slow burns, though.
You gotta have a boom, though, right? Like, the stick of diamond has to eventually blow up. This just went and then fizzled out. It's
only the first arc, though, right? I'm going to give it a few more. I'm going to give it another arc. See what
6 issues to tell me there's a barn?
Yeah, trippy ass barn. Acid trip barn.
Sure.
There's the whole joke conflict, too. The married couple. Remember,
I don't care.
Possessed or something? Oh, okay.
We fine.
I think that was kind of cool.
Please tell them about them, because we spent 20 minutes not talking about them. So how really engaged were you about the married couple?
The married couple that kept inviting the priest back to their place, and you eventually he goes there, but not because of the invitation, because his daughter was responding to a domestic violence call.
Right.
And he goes there, and he's just switched off, and he assaults he tries to kill them both, ends up killing his wife, and then running off, and he's the kind of source, this guy Joe, of the barn, right? He runs into the barn and disappears, and that's what you were talking about earlier. Right. They go in there after him,
and then shit goes fucking and it's just like nuts, right?
It's like what the hell is this?
I would love issues just like the barn and them just like trying to figure out. It's like a fun house. Like literally, you go in there, it's like mirrors, but like people's faces are bleeding and like they're pieces of himself, and then it's like rippling and like there's no flooring, like you're floating and nothing makes sense. It's amazing, right?
It's
like
great. Yeah,
it's like it's The Simpsons, the baseball episode where Ozzie Smith falls into the mysterious spot, and it's like he just fall. You can't explain it, which is great because you can use all your imagination and just go wild into it, right? You have no idea what's going on, but it's such a slow burn to get to that, and then the characters that I want to see interact with that haven't reached it yet. They're not even in that town yet. So
they are, but it's in the future. We'll see how it goes.
We don't know.
We'll see how it goes.
It seems like there's 2 different directions. Coke is going to read it all the way through.
Well, I'm going to read another arc and see how it goes.
Dank is just going to go to Wikipedia and find out how it ends, right? So if they cross swords, cross path, maybe I'll go back into it. But not everything's for everyone.
If you like creepy atmosphere and shit, or Jeff Lemire, read it.
We'll link you that Tom Waits song. Play this. I'm gonna play it here. Play this as you read the book. It'll change your whole fucking experience for it. If you have ominous sounds, or you like reading out in the middle of a field, best book ever. Because if I did that, I would freak out at the first fucking hummingbird or like chirp or like.
Be like looking around.
I toss the book and run into.
I'm out.
Whatever non-barn I see. Like if you have
the first sound of rustling,
if you have a ominous looking barn in your town or city, go read this book in front of it and see how you look at it in the morning. At night. No, don't go in.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you let the light come. Let the barn invite you.
You're right. Yeah.
The barn is a cool character, by the way. I'll give points to the barn. I think the barn has something going on with it, and I don't know what it is. I want to guess that it's a demon.
I think it's the red background. Yeah. Oh, it is a demon. No, there's definitely a demon in it. Yeah.
And we're not getting enough credit to the artwork. The artwork is the most unsettling thing of it. And that's what kept me turning pages, because I liked how broken it was. Like nothing is clean cut, or like even the characters. Nothing's like if you saw a square, it would be slanted, right? Like nothing is as sharp or straightforward. Everything is just a little off.
Yeah.
And that definitely lends itself to the world that they're trying to build. Kudos for them for that, but that's not on writing. That's on the artist. So
I give it a boom.
I give it unless you listen with an asterisk, play the song, read it in the middle of a field with their barn, maybe be drunk. Have a Ouija board there as well. You know, go for the gusto. But you can do better.
What's he building in there? What the hell is he building in there? He has subscriptions to those magazines. He never waves when he goes by. He's hiding something from the rest of us. He's all to himself. I think I know why.